Want to listen to this episode ad-free? Head on over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Ivory Tower Boiler Room. For a limited time, we are offering free 1 week trials to our Patreon just so you can see all of the exciting audio and video episodes that you get to unlock as a Patreon member. And as an ITBR professor member, which is $10 a month, you receive access not only to our audio and video episodes, but also our monthly book club. This month, we are reading The Book of Gothel, a retelling of Rapunzel through the witch's eyes by Mary McMinn. Join us virtually on July 21st at 5 p.m. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at ivorytowerboilerroom@gmail.com. Please rate and subscribe to the podcast on Apple or Spotify. And please mention the podcast to one of your friends. It really helps get the word out there and it allows me to continue getting really exciting guests, Mary to continue her True Crime and Academia show, and Christian Garcia to continue to co host our rewatch show, whether it be Smash or Queer as Folk. And we are now on YouTube, so you can listen to the podcast on YouTube. So if you're a YouTube lover, we have you covered there as well. I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Hey, true crime friends. Welcome back to another episode of True Crime in Academia. I am your host, Married Pippi. I hope you all have had a wonderful week, a wonderful July so far. Mine has been absolutely insane, even though we're about to come to an end of it, or the end of it. I had another work trip, which was great. I mean, in the fact that like everything went well, we were obviously exhausted, but otherwise it was a great time. We went to this place called Sluggers and Putters. It was a really cool mix of like a mini golf place with a batting cage and had a couple rides and things like that. And, it was just a cool time to get together and hang out with everyone from our manufacturing plant, and also, just a good time for the sales team to get together. So we also had our version of the Olympics, which that was insane and awesome to watch our sales team go through all of that. We have some really great pictures and videos of that. But yeah, no, it was a good time, but it was just a lot of work. And then I taught an extra yoga class this week. So I just had so much going on. And then on top of that, Spotify changed how we do our editing. So like I've been sitting on this episode and, was just kind of waiting and just not even waiting, but just trying to figure out how the heck to do this. Because I'd been so used to doing it one way. And it's not like I'm old or anything. It's just I have a certain level of audio editing skills. And once I go past that, it takes me a minute. So it was kind of like that, but also kind of not. Like, basically, it was just a pain. It took me out of my comfort zone, so it took me a minute. But anyway, we are back. So, I'm just happy to be here. So one other thing that I have been doing is I have been getting back into reading. Not that like I like give it up or anything. I just don't always have time to do it. Like I said, I'm super busy. But I just finished this book called Ask for Andrea, and it's by Noelle W. Hilly, Ihli. I am obsessed with it. It's amazing. Like, I mean, if you just type into Amazon or just the interwebs anywhere, not to promote this capitalistic conglomerate. But if you search for Ask for Andrea, the book, and like I said, the author is Noelle W. Healy, Ihli. It is incredible. Like, so good. I was so happy that I got it. And, like, it was just one of those that I had just was like, okay, people of the interwebs, what do you think is a good book to read at this point? So, I got it. I read it. Obsessed. Highly recommend. If you are into fiction and ghosts, totally read this book. It is amazing. We're going to take a real quick break and then we're going to get into this week's case.
Hi, this is Dr. Andrew Rimby. And when I'm not here with a podcast microphone in the ITBR, I am consulting with several clients. I have small business clients where I provide them social media strategies. I have writing clients. I've worked on college admission essays. I've worked on a graduate student's thesis. I've worked on journal article editing. And I also have worked with those who are creating a podcast or who have a podcast on social media and ideas for how to get their podcast out there and trying to target their audience. So if you are interested in any of my consulting services, you can just reach out to me at ivorytowerboilerroom@gmail.com or search Ivory Tower Boiler Room on Google, and you will see my phone number. So feel free to give me a call. The first hour is $30, and then we'll figure out what plan works for you after that. Okay, now back to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. While it's still summer, and I hope so many of you out there are enjoying beach days, I know that while I'm at the beach, I'll have a thought pop into my mind like, wait, what am I going to assign on my syllabus? What books do I want my students to read? I know if you are a college educator listening right now, or a student, or someone who just really enjoys and values academic writing and academic topics, I have a press that you need to know about. It's called Broadview Press, and it's an independent press. I've had a few of their writers on the podcast, including Dr. Sid Dobrin, who was recently on the podcast to talk about how artificial intelligence is changing the game for humanities education. Soon, I'm going to have Dr. Andrea Sullivan Clark on to talk all about philosophies on Turtle Island, especially indigenous philosophies. And what does she think about how pop culture looks at Native American narratives? If you are looking for a text to assign your students in the humanities classroom, Broadview Press has you covered. They have a book that just came out called Academic Writing Now, a brief guide for busy students. It is designed to cover the basics of a college writing course in a concise, student-friendly format. Each chapter concentrates on a crucial element of composing an academic essay. It is available as an ebook for under $30, and it includes readings on contemporary issues like AI, climate change, and campus life. I'm so excited because Broadview Press has released an exclusive discount code, Ivory Tower, for 20% off your broadviewpress.com order. That's Ivory Tower for 20% off. Make sure you follow them on Instagram at Broadview Press. Enjoy all of your reading. After Pride Month is over, sometimes it can be hard to find our favorite LGBTQ books, TV shows, films, even theater experiences. Well, don't worry, because I have the magazine for you. It is called The Gay and Lesbian Review, and their latest July and August issue just got released. It's called Sanctuary. Well, here is what editor Richard Snyder Jr. just described about the latest issue. He writes, The impulse for any minority to seek out safe spaces or sanctuaries exists in proportion to the oppression they suffer in their social world. From the catacombs of Rome to the colony of Plymouth, the upshot of this quest is well attested. Members of sexual minorities have undoubtedly been forming their own private communities for centuries. Would Plato's Symposium be an early example? But it was only in the 19th century that sexual identity became a criterion for forming associations of like minded individuals. Well, this issue has everything. An article about Andy Warhol's factory, an article about how Nantucket became a gay haven, how a lesbian art colony formed in St. Augustine, even how a gay bar in San Antonio fought back and won for recognition of the LGBTQ community. So, the ITBR is so excited to partner with the Gay and Lesbian Review, who is offering an exclusive discount code. Head on over to glreview.org, click subscribe, and enter the promo code ITBR50, that is ITBR50, to receive 50% off any print or digital subscription. And make sure you follow at the GL Review on Instagram to see all of their latest news. I hope you enjoy your reading.
Now, this is one of those cases where there isn't that much information out there specifically about the victim, which could be for a multitude of reasons, ranging from the family wanting privacy to, unfortunately, the news or media just not caring enough. Now, I'm not sure which it is in this case, and not that it honestly matters, because this person's story deserves to be told. Now, personally, I can't stand the reasons that are related to politics. Again, not saying I feel one way or another, but the politics of the media, I feel like, should just always be in the back of our minds, because that is a very real thing. And again, even though we may want to ignore it, it still, like I said, very much exists. So certain cases sometimes take precedent over others because of these said politics. Or, just how far a news source or a reporter is willing to go to find out more information about certain cases. But being in the true crime world has made me realize that there are a lot more cases like this than not. And just because there isn't a lot of information necessarily even about the case or just background information on the victim, sometimes cases fall to the wayside. But like I said, these stories deserve to be told in whatever capacity they can be. So much like this case, unfortunately, let's get into it. It is the tragic death of Joshua Hwang. Joshua Hwang was from New Windsor, New York, which is roughly 73 miles north of New York City, New York, or like about an hour and 45 minutes to a 2-hour drive with traffic, depending. Now, according to his LinkedIn page, he went to Northeastern University, where he graduated in 2022 with his bachelor's in industrial engineering and mathematics. He was bilingual, speaking fluent English and fluent Korean. But he also had a basic understanding or basic level of understanding of Spanish. He also had an endorsement for leadership. Sadly, that's all that would ever be put on Joshua's LinkedIn page. Ever.
Were you a fan of the TCM Turner Classic Movie Network? and you couldn't wait to see what classic movie they were going to premiere. And when you went to Hollywood/MGM Studios in Disney World, you would always go to the Great Movie Ride. I absolutely loved the Great Movie Ride, especially when we landed in the Wizard of Oz scene and the Wicked Witch of the West came out from a heap of smoke and confronted Dorothy and Glinda. Well, I have a podcast for you. My good friend Christian Garcia's podcast is called That Old Gay Classic Cinema. So he combines classic cinema analysis with a queer study angle. So some of his recent episodes include Singing in the Rain, Breakfast at Tiffany's, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Sunset Boulevard with our good friend Janine Cucci, the co-owner of the Soapbox NY. Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train, The Philadelphia Story, and so much more. You can listen to his podcast wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple or Spotify. And every Friday, I release a new That Old Gay Classic Cinema episode because he is now part of the ITBR network. I am now releasing his episodes on the ITBR podcast. So make sure that you have a listen because I was on his first episode talking all things The Sound of Music, which, if you didn't know, I was Captain Von Trapp when I was in high school. So make sure you follow him on TikTok and Instagram at That Old Gay Classic Cinema and rate, subscribe, do all the things, and please help support my friend Christian's podcast. I know you're going to love it. It's officially beach season, which means I need all of my favorite Bath and Body products, but this time I need beachy scents. Well, my favorite Bath and Body boutique, the Soapbox NY, has me covered. From Farmhouse Fresh, my favorite company for all things face masks and retinol creams, to Finchberry, a beautiful bar of soap that looks like a slice of cake. I especially love the emerald one because it reminds me of the Wizard of Oz. I also love Wavertree in London. They have summer cocktail scents like peach Bellini, Prosecco, and so much more. They also have a blending bar with over 200 essential oils. So Janine, the co-owner, she knows my favorite scent is French vanilla and almond. So I've had the body wash, the bubble bath, the body lotion. If you don't live on Long Island, which I don't live on Long Island anymore, I still am getting my favorite products because the Soapbox NY has an extensive website as well as an Instagram and TikTok where you can place your orders by just DMing Janine. So if you do live on Long Island, definitely make a day trip out to Port Jefferson. It's a beautiful beach town. So you can follow the Soapbox NY on Instagram and TikTok. That's at the Soapbox NY. And you'll see all ways to contact them. I hope that you enjoy all of their products as much as I do. I mean, I now have gotten all my family and friends addicted to the Soapbox NY. So if I can get more of you out there addicted to their Bath and Body boutique, the better.
Towards the end of July of 2022, Joshua and some of his friends checked into the camping grounds at Green River Reservoir in Hyde Park, Vermont. According to sources, they were in spot number 25, which, according to the website and the map, it allows for up to 7 people to be camped there. Now, that's not to definitively say that Joshua went there with 6 other friends, but that is just the size of, the campsite that they had. They were also located right by the Green River Reservoir itself. Now, I have a picture of it on the socials I found, or at least, what the state parks website have as far as pictures for that campsite and the map. And honestly, it looks like a gorgeous place to camp. I'm not a huge fan of camping. I've only ever been once. We all had tents. Like, we were really roughing it. It was just before Thanksgiving. It snowed. No one showered. Again, we roughed it. However, though, where they were, it was absolutely beautiful. And I would have loved to have maybe gone to that campsite with a camper that had access to maybe running water or, just using the facilities. Because that was one of the things that I noticed, like the bathroom that was closest. It was like, oh, there are showers here too. And I was like, oh, again, never having gone before. Just like, oh, I did not know this was here. Had I known, maybe I would have taken advantage. Probably not because of the amount of bugs, but again, it was just, again, something I did not know. But again, this place, again, if there was a camper, ability to shower, I'd be all for it. It was gorgeous. Now, from everything I read, it just seemed that Joshua and his friends were just looking to have a good time post graduation in nature. Camper or not. Again, don't know how they... Jesus, excuse me, I feel like I got the hiccups. Okay, we're good. Like I said, I'm not sure if they were in a camper or not. Who cares? They were enjoying themselves. But sadly, on July 26, 2022, at around 3 p.m., Joshua's friends reported him missing. He was last seen wearing a wet t-shirt and shorts and no shoes. It was never stated if he went off to swim in the Green River Reservoir, but given that, like, what he was wearing and how close they were to there, it seems that it could have been a possibility that he was at least hanging around by there, even if he wasn't swimming in it. Now, the park closed while police and search parties searched for Joshua, which it seems like that's common sense, but sadly, sometimes that doesn't always happen, so I just wanted to point that out, that they did this. 2 days later, on July 28th, Joshua's body was pulled from the Green River Reservoir. The medical examiner of Vermont performed Joshua's autopsy. Now, unfortunately, I haven't found anything further about the determination of Joshua's death, which leads me to believe that foul play wasn't suspected and that the drowning was probably accidental. I really hope that that is the case. Again, there's no information to prove otherwise, but again, obviously you hope that no one purposely did anything to him. I think it was truly an accidental situation. But again, it's just so sad and so horrible, just the situation and everything. It just hurts my heart, because it truly is so unfortunate. So that is all I have for you, my loves. Please don't forget to follow True Crime in Academia on social media at True Crime in Academia on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, and at TC in Academia on X, formerly known as Twitter. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on the Ivory Tower Boiler Room YouTube. You can see live videos of this podcast and clips and all extras and things like that. So, go to YouTube/Ivory Tower Boiler Room. And like I said, become a subscriber today, as well as do that on our Patreon at patreon.com/Ivory Tower Boiler Room. And until next time, my darlings, I will see you all later.